following program is a presentation of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio in iTunes. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market. From unusual activity alerts to market updates and trading strategies. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block. With your host, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com and co-hosts Mike Tusaw from KnowYourOptionsInc.com and Mark Sebastian from OptionPit.com. The Option Block is brought to you by Options Express. Don't spend time worrying about your broker. At Options Express, security, stability, and account protection are the most important responsibilities to our customers. Secure account access, enhanced financial protection, entrusted with over $7 billion in customer assets, established financial stability. Options Express lets you trade with confidence. Stocks, options, and futures, all in one account. Trade with a specialist. Visit optionsexpress.com/OXradio to open your free account. Options Express is a member of FINRA, SIPC, and NFA.
Welcome to the Option Block, everybody. Today, I am your host, Mike Tusaw, filling in for Mark Longo, who is taking some much-needed R&R for the week. We're excited to have everyone today, as per usual. So without further ado, let's introduce our usual cast of characters. Let's start with Tim Navabi from Options Express. Tim, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good, Mike. Thank you very much. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. A lot of action going on over at OX today?
Not too much. Kind of quiet. I mean, kind of quiet relative, like the volume in some of the markets these days. But yeah, we did have some activity, so I've got stuff to talk about.
Very good, very good. And the good voice over there is none other, well, the voice that just said good, not necessarily the good voice.
I was going to say, I've got a lot of nicknames, but never the good voice. I kind of like that, though. That's mysterious.
It is. So maybe we'll introduce this way. We'll say the good voice over there, a.k.a. the Greasy Meatball Sandwich, the head promoter of the mini medals from the Option Pit, Mr. Mark Sebastian. Mark, how are you today?
I'm much better now. I just went an entire week being Tusaw-less, and I'll tell you, I'll do the Longo Tusaw swap any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Yeah, Longo, you heard it. I'll do that swap. Take it.
Now, it'll be interesting to see if that line gets edited, but that'll be interesting nonetheless. So with that, folks, let's dive right in to the trading block.
The Trading Block.
And welcome to the Trading Block, everybody. This is the part of the show where we talk about what's going on in the marketplace today. So, on that note, what are we seeing going on in the marketplace today? Mr. Sebastian, I will give you the lead.
Well, we had a little bit of a turnaround today. Again, it was a little weird. The VIX was reading really down today, and vol across the board though was kind of up a little bit. S&P vol I kind of felt was a little heavy today. Kind of there's a little bit of vol there, and a lot of the other indexes, but we do seem to be in kind of this holding pattern where we're just kind of stuck in between 320 and 330. 1320 and 1330 for those of you that are wondering what I mean. In the S&P 500. And, aside from that, some interesting trades going on. I saw a few crazy ones go up. There was a big trade that went up in the SLV. And this is not kind of an odd block trade because it's silver. But there was a pretty, unusually large trade. And give me a second here. I'll read it to you guys. Guy came in and bought 100,000 of the of July puts. It was the July $25 puts in SLV. Pretty big. Is a pretty big trade. So he was definitely hedging himself against a possible turnaround in silver, kind of a black swan turnaround in silver. I don't know how SLV gets back down to $25, but this guy was protecting him. Sounds like a big long owner, and he was just maybe wanted to make sure he didn't go out of business if silver all of a sudden kind of took a huge dive. But
hey, Mark,
just kind of a major buy. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that sort of that trade right off the bat, because I saw that this morning, and then later on in the afternoon I saw that trade, or I saw that being talked about on Bloomberg, which I thought was pretty interesting as well. And I had some thoughts to myself. One, is this person hedging, or two, is this person, being massively bearish? Now, I know you could probably say same thing really doesn't matter, but it seemed to me like when I first saw it, some people were really, talking about how bearish of a trade this was, where I kind of thought to myself, like you did, it sounds, it could be just a hedge. Is there any real way you use to sort of decipher the difference between if this person's trying to hedge or if this person's, just putting out a big bearish bet, or really, in the end doesn't matter, or it's just a guess?
You never know completely. But there's sometimes where it makes sense. The further out in time someone's going, I usually think it's a hedge. Like this was July. That makes me think it's a hedge. The less it costs can make me think it's a hedge. And, this is definitely kind of a guy buying a cheap option. So, stuff like that makes me think it's a hedge. And the size of it is the other thing that makes me think it's a hedge. Usually don't see these massive bets going up. If someone was really doing something other than hedging, they would probably, if they thought that was going to tank down to the 25 strike, it'd be a much cheaper bearish play to just sell the futures. You could sell a lot less of them and actually probably protect your risk. So my thought process is that this is probably a hedge. Does that make sense to you? What are your thoughts when you're looking at that stuff?
I thought the same thing. One of the reasons why I thought it was a hedge was that, it is because of the size, but more in that, because of the big rally in silver that we've had, that, for someone to take, this size of dollars and put it in on this, put contract really doesn't seem like it's a massive bearish play. Just more of like, you know what? I've done really well in silver, so here's a little bit, and I'm going to put it down over there.
Yeah, my thought was this guy could have gotten in it, and silver hasn't been rallying for that long. This has been a pretty quick trip up. This guy could have. This guy could have been buying, buying $20 in, October,
right,
or September, and just be trying to protect his position against, against giving away everything he made, for all we know.
Right.
So, I think it's a hedge.
That's going to have to be a very, very bearish position for someone who's real positive on it coming down.
Oh, yeah. No kidding. And why wouldn't you just use, if you were that bearish silver, why would you ever trade SLV as opposed to the futures?
Yeah. That's what I would think. Have you guys seen anything? It just seems to be a lot of the things that I'm looking at online about the big position that J.P. Morgan has that's short silver right now. Have you guys seen anything on that?
I'm just learning about it from you. It's interesting. I think silver is overdone. I think it's way overdone. $42 an ounce for silver. Seriously, think about it. Or $39 an ounce for silver. That's insane. That is just crazy expensive. Why would I agree with them. This is going out to July. I don't know how we get to 25 by July. That would be an impressive drop off. But yeah, I'm a little surprised. I didn't realize J.P. Morgan was that big. J.P. Morgan's been smart. They've been ahead of a lot of different things. So.
Well, and let me ask you this too, in terms of like silver being overdone. Have you guys either heard of the adage about gold being worth 15 times as much as silver? What would you guys think? Because by doing the math on it, like the old adage, the 5,000-year rule, so to speak, just to what a lot of viewers have maybe read about, or maybe you can look at on the internet or wherever, gold historically has been 15 to 16 times the price of silver. And by doing the math right now, let's say that gold holds at $1,500 an ounce. Let's just say that that's where it's at right now. If not, let's just say where it is for easy math. Divide that by 15. That puts silver at 100. And so with that, we've obviously had a ginormous gold run these last few years. Do you think that it's possible that maybe the trade to be would be to go short gold, long silver as a pair, possibly?
Interesting. I don't know. I mean, I think the trade would be to short gold, short silver as a pair.
So that's what we call that, the double short stupid future?
Yeah, and then I actually like selling gold, buying liquid gold. Does that make sense? Black gold. Does that make sense? So,
there you
Texas tea,
Which I'm sure we'll hear about when Tim gets going on commodities here a little bit later.
Absolutely.
Anyway, very interesting, guys. Excellent comments. Now, Tim, what are you seeing in the markets today?
What am I seeing in the markets today? Well, a little bit of a turnaround here. And, definitely some movers in the commodities. Natural gas, that was up pretty big today. That was pretty much one of the big movers was natural gas, and it was getting pretty cheap there for a while, getting pretty attractive in a relatively short term that we've just sort of went through. But other than that, what have we been seeing? Well, the turnaround in crude, that's down, probably over 3.5%. Heating oil's down. Those metals trading lower by over 1%. So that's primarily what we're seeing. Any big stock trades or anything like that, we do have our usual, what's going on at Options Express as far as, what are some of the most actives. SLV's number 2, then Apple, GDX, Baidu.
Very interesting.
That's kind of what I'm seeing. And like volume, just,
yeah, I'm curious,
pretty quiet.
I'm glad Mark brought it up today on the VIX. It's definitely the market's down, and it doesn't seem like it. And just from looking across the board at a lot of these vols, it is kind of interesting how the VIX is down 7% on the day.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to fit.
Yeah, I think there was something wrong with the rollover, is my guess. So, there's something screwy there because April just came off the books, and the VIX is all May right now. So I think there's something going on there. Or it could be it could be just a bunch of people buy writing May specifically that is driving that down, except I had May vol up a little bit in SPX today, didn't you?
That's what I'm looking across the board at a lot of these things, and I think there's got to be something there with the roll or something along those lines, because definitely not a 7% drop in the VIX. That doesn't seem to be reflective of the overall market at all. And that will conclude the trading block for today, and let's move into the odd block.
The Odd Block.
And welcome to the Odd Block. This is where we discuss options that have rather unusual activity, something to kind of scratch your head at and see what's going on with things, and most importantly, use them as a potential learning opportunity. So today, our chief odd person, the Good Voice, is going to head up our task force on the Odd Block. So, Mr. Sebastian, what is odd today?
Well, the first one I'm looking at is clinical data.
Okay.
CLDA, that's Charlie Lima Delta Alpha. Clinical Data Incorporated. It is I know you'll be surprised by this, but they're involved with data in therapy and different things like that. So It's and they have drug candidates. So it's it's some sort of medical biotech company. But we had somebody that thinks that this company is going higher because a trader came in and bought 82,000 of the June 18 calls today. Think about that. 82,000. The
volume on the day is 387,000 on the stock.
Yeah, it's huge, right? Big, huge buyer. So this thing, the normal volume on this, the average daily volume is 18,000. Today the volume was 96,000, 92,000 of them in calls. Almost all people buying deltas. It was a pretty big premium buy too. So some major bullish sentiment. Interestingly, the volatility is not that crazy high. In fact, if anything, it's kind of low. Let's see what's going on here. There's proposed merger on the books. It's agreed to be purchased by Forest Laboratories for $30 a share. That's interesting. Per share, plus a possible additional $6 per share if certain sales milestones related to a new drug, Viberide, are achieved. So this is interesting. Somebody came in. This is like a risk arb trade. So they're getting $30 a share, and somebody is betting that there's going to be some way to gain that extra $6 a share in clinical data. It's kind of an interesting trade. Another one. This is a Longo special because nobody's ever heard of it. LFT, Long Top Financial Technologies Limited. This company does. They're involved with the People's Republic of China. They develop, license, and support of software solutions and a bunch of other things. So, kind of an interesting little company. Again, massive put buying this time, just up and down. Normal volume on LFT is about 527 contracts a day. Now, the total volume, average daily volume, is 1,300 contracts. 16,000 contracts today. 14,000 of them are puts. So, all buying. So, a ton of net premium and a ton of put buying. So, some very, very bearish activity in LFT.
Yeah, it looks like they were buying it across the board, too, from what I can tell. It's not just one specific strike.
Every single put they could get their hands on, they bought. So, real interesting.
Now, do these guys have earnings or anything coming up anytime soon? Or
I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing...
I'm showing earnings on the 16th of May, but for that much of a position that far in advance...
That's a little nutty, right?
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And then the final one, and this is what I call my super duper ultra super incredible Mongo Longo special. Okay?
The Mongo Longo. We're going to have to remember that one.
Yeah, the Mongo Longo special is NAK, which is Northern Dynasty Minerals. First off, I love the name, if only for the 80s melodrama throwback. But we saw some big buyers of calls. We saw the 30 calls, the August 30 calls go up for 40 cents about 4,800 times, and we saw the November 20 calls go up about 4,500 times. Buyers of both bullish. Kind of an interesting trade. Totally separate of each other, I think. It's kind of interesting.
So this is Dynasty. You'd call this the JR trade then, or?
Yeah, I would call it the JR trade. Well, unless who shot down JR, right?
So who made this trade? Who shot this JR trade? We could say that then,
know.
right?
Right, exactly. I have no idea. So, real interesting though. Tim, I saw you were posting GLBC that you posted here. Let's just take a quick look at this. This is Global Crossing. I like it. And it looks like we had put buying again, huh?
Put buying? I just saw that as Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, I saw it as I put it down as a stock mover, not necessarily as a something that traded in on the options. But you're probably right.
No, this is interesting. Yeah, the stock is up $10 today. Okay, and it's not like this is some new stock. Global Crossing's been around for a long time. It's a proposed merger. Okay, that's why. Level 3 LVLT have announced an all-stock merger. All right. Each share of Global Crossing will be exchanged for 16 shares of Level 3 Communications. So these are people that obviously aren't in love with the trade. And they were just buying puts. So we saw puts trade across the board. Not a lot of calls, which is real interesting. So Global Crossing put buying. A lot of mergers today. A lot of M&A. That could be a good thing. That could be a bad thing. So,
if you don't mind on that note, if I could have you take a look at another one that I just kind of came across. Maybe you saw it and maybe you don't see anything interesting in it. Was Yahoo. Looks like there were some calls buying Yahoo.
Well, the interesting thing about Yahoo.
Yeah, they're earning.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The thing about Yahoo is not the if, it's the when. And so we've got these people that are just betting and betting and betting and betting and betting. And the longer Yahoo sits here, the worse their merger is going to get. By the way, all right, how angry are you if you're a Yahoo shareholder after the way they turned down Microsoft? I would be furious with the management team. To this day, one of the 5 worst corporate decisions in what was a dumber decision, you think?
New Coke.
Yahoo not selling itself. New Coke. Yahoo not selling itself. Groupon turning down Google, or the Buffalo Bills cutting Mike Tusa. What do you think?
Them cutting me was actually a smart decision. I was behind Reuben Brown. There was no way that was going to be the case.
So I'm just trying to give you a good shout out there, Mike. But what do you think? That was just an awful decision, and awful. Or I'm sorry, Time Warner's purchase of AOL. That could go on there. That was terrible. I mean, Time Warner, and going back, that one actually, you could have made an argument to you that made sense. The implementation though was so awful with the AOL Time Warner one that that was more a beast of implementation than I think a beast of mergers. The Yahoo and Microsoft fit, and Yahoo's just stupid. They're just dumb.
For our listeners, what was the refresh our listeners' memories on what Microsoft actually offered for Yahoo?
I want to say it was it $29 a share?
It was in the 20s, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it was 29 or 26 or something along those lines. I wish I could remember the exact price, but it was certainly more than they're ever going to get now. I would be impressed if Yahoo managed to sell themselves for $20 at this point. So.
Yeah, because I remember watching that a few years back, when that happened. I remember just seeing them when the rumors were out about the offer. Yahoo went right up, and then as soon as the rumors went off the table, they went right back down to where they were. It was amazing how that worked.
It was a terrible decision. Ugh, just an awful decision. So I don't feel strongly about it at all, though.
Right. So. And so what we need to do now is get the upper management from Yahoo to send you some Red Lobster biscuits with that to go along with it, along with some Olive Garden gift cards. And that will conclude today's session of the Odd Block. Now we will head right into the Express Block.
The Express Block, brought to you by Options Express. Options Express lets you trade where and when you want for every level of trading. From advanced charting, free daily trading ideas, and free educational resources, Options Express is the online broker for all traders. Best of all, Options Express allows you to trade stocks, options, and futures all in a single account on powerful yet easy-to-use trading platforms, including mobile devices. Visit optionsexpress.com/OXradio for your free account. Options Express is a member of FINRA, SIPC, and NFA.
And welcome to the Express Block. This is the part of the show where Mr. Sebastian and myself, we sit back and we listen to the deep wisdom of Tim Navabi, the ladies' man, the T-Nav, from Options Express.
The ladies' man. He is a ladies' man. Mike, do you know how good, I could not believe that he's 34? You're 34, right?
I'll be 38 in a week.
Shocking, 38 years old, unbelievable, and blazingly good looking. Holy cow.
Normally I don't go along with guys on this, but I gotta agree with you on this one. Tim is a good-looking guy. So all of you lady listeners, if you ever get a chance to visit the OX office, you gotta look up.
Oh my gosh! Yes. Yeah, no kidding. Tim, are you married?
I'm not married. No.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Hence the reason I told all the ladies to come visit.
I do have a girlfriend. Yeah.
Oh, you're not gonna be liking me right now.
How many? So,
all right.
Anyway,
thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. You're both lookers yourselves, I should say.
Oh, I got a great face for radio, I know, but
podcasting.
Yeah. Well, Tim, tell us about the world of Options Express today.
Okay. Mike, you said it maybe one of the last podcasts I was on, and I think today is one of those days too, that, although the volume was kind of light and, you really couldn't see too much action occurring in one direction or the other, there were quite some movers, and definitely things to start to note, for sure. I mean, one is, what did the commodities do today? And, this is really where the movers were. If I take a look at sort of my futures quote board right now, as I was mentioning before, some of the big movers on the futures, crude oil down over 3%. Some of the other soybeans I have down over 1%. Copper down 1%. Gold was down about that amount, silver down, and the move to the upside, natural gas. I have orange juice, cotton, some of those. So, many of the high flyers that we've been seeing recently, today they turned around. Now, I don't know if it's for the short term, midterm, or long term, but definitely, it happened today. If I take a look at what's trading at Options Express before I give any kind of commodity story here, well, let me just talk about, one of the bigger commodity movers today, if not the biggest. That was quite the story, was oil, crude oil. It settled at about 109.92. The selling was, pretty intense towards the close. What is this big move on? Well, it seems that, people really started to take some profits, kind of based on the idea that there might be some sort of ceasefire going on over in Libya. I've heard some stories that, there's ceasefire, now there's not ceasefire, now the rebels, they don't want to agree. But, from what I'm kind of reading here, it seems that, that was kind of the catalyst for some profit taking. So, if you're bullish on oil, kind of like you had said earlier, Mark, maybe now is the time to start to look for an entry point. Gasoline was down, 1.9%, settled at $3.20 a gallon. But I wouldn't notice that while I'm filling up my car. And then finally, sort of what are some of the things here trading at Options Express. I can give you some of those top movers. As I had mentioned earlier, SLV was number 2. SPX, that was number 1.
It always is, isn't it? How often is that not your number 1?
Which one? Actually, hold on. I got a little bit of an update right now. I know. SLV, number 1 most active traded at OX.
Today's the day.
Yeah.
What?
SPY.
In terms of premium, not close. Just saying.
SLV number 1, SPY number 2, AAPL, Apple number 3, GDX number 4, then Baidu, the RUT, RUT, followed by IWM, SPX, Netflix, and finally the Qs. So those were some of our most actives. Again, it really seems to be that, today was a day on commodity movers. Pretty much a reverse of what has been going on over, I would say, the recent short-term period. We've been going through 3 to 6 months in commodities. So, if you are looking to get long commodities, or looking for a way to get away from the dollar, maybe this is your area to start looking to get in. Or if you're saying, okay, I'm looking for the top, and I kind of see something here which may look like it. So, start to look for now some further downside action. Kind of take a look at some volume, see how kind of heavy it gets that on the downside, and start to trade and look for some opportunity or trade your opportunity there that's available now. That's that's my wrap up for the Express Block.
And that will do it for today's Express Block. And let's dive right into the Around the Block section.
As an options trader, you're always looking for a way to stay ahead of the game. At OptionPit, we specialize in trade structure, risk management, and capital efficiency to give you that edge. Every Wednesday before options expiration, join us for a free webinar discussing timely topics with expert guests. Just go to optionpit.com/events. At no cost, we'll provide you with the time-sensitive information you're looking for. OptionPit. We optimize your time by being the only resource you need to be successful.
Around the Block.
And welcome to the Around the Block section of the show. This is where we go through what we are looking at for upcoming events in the marketplace with individual stocks and also with the market in general. Let's start with Mr. Navabi. Tim, what are we watching for at Options Express these days?
At Options Express these days, well, we
Tim,
do have...
real quick.
Yeah, definitely.
Tomorrow, the CBOE is listing the GVZ options. Okay, they just listed futures. This is basically VIX for gold, for GLD.
Okay.
And I had interest in, one, have you kind of heard anything about this at Options Express? And two, kind of what is your process for getting ready for something that could potentially be a busy product and is a little trickier because this is not just a simple, put it to the underlying and run the normal option thing. What's your guys' process for getting a new listing that's, mildly complex right when it's ready to go tomorrow?
Okay, that's a real good question, and thank you very much. I did not know about the GVZ, but I knew that there were a couple VIXs or new VIXs coming out relatively soon. One of them, maybe Mark, real quick, I just want to ask you. So I heard something like a volatility on. It was like a small cap agribusiness index.
I haven't even heard of that one.
Gotcha. Nothing to do with the VIX.
Yeah, I'm sure that's an interesting one, but the big one that they're pushing right now is the gold index, and that could potentially be really busy. It's a real good hedge.
Sure.
I think. And
sure.
I'll talk about it once you're done. So.
Okay. What we do is we just, we let our trading group know that, we may be getting some calls on this GVZ. And, don't be surprised if we try to pull it up in some of our quote pages that, we're not getting any kind of quotes. So, when we have something new coming out, we try to let the trading desk know, okay, here's something new. You may not see it on some of the quote pages, and that's, has to do with programming and development and stuff like that. But we are going to be taking orders from it. So, we have a good connection with our execution desk that, can give us quotes if we need to, or place an order with them directly if we need to. So, it's really nothing special. we are trading desks. So if that's trading and you got an order, go ahead, give it to us. We'll get it in. Especially me. I mean, that's how I roll. Just give me what you got, and I'll get it working. So it's a real tight connection. With our execution desk, who has a good connection with the CEVO floor. But as far as the website and everything looking real pretty, on the GVZ quote, sometimes that can take a couple days. Sometimes even, a little bit more than that if we have to wait for a software release or something. What do you think about the GVZ?
I think it's a really interesting product. I've been really paying attention to it. And it's meant to kind of act like the VIX, except gold volatility, and Mike, I'm sure you understand, this, gold volatility moves completely different than S&P 500 volatility.
Big time.
Yeah, I mean, when gold moves down quickly, what happens to gold vol?
It goes down because
up, right. Or with gold vol, it goes up, right? When it moves down quickly.
And, it moves down quickly. Gotcha.
Yeah, and when it moves up quickly, vol goes up too. It actually has what I call a breakout skew. So, believe it or not, think about this, Mike. You buy a bunch of gold, and then you hedge it with gold futures or gold volatility futures, and then if gold rallies, your volatility futures will increase in value. So will your gold position. If gold takes kind of that nosedive, then your gold position should be protected to some degree, by that gold vol, by that volatility. Now this is on GLD, so there's all sorts of interesting plays that may make some interesting sense. Now one little difference, it's real interesting. I talked to John Hyatt at the CEVO about this. The one big thing that you have to understand between GVZ and VIX is that since GVZ is based on a PM-settled ETF, it's actually set to 30 days and 360 minutes as opposed to just 30 days. So when it comes to expiration, so there are a couple little interesting things with it. So it's a really neat little product. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that would be interesting for sure. I mean, I'm curious though. Yeah. Would you think that would be factored in though?
I'm sure they'll have that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, you never know. There's always opportunity in this business. That's the beauty of it.
Quick question: have you had experience, Mark, with the volatility on some of the oil indexes?
I've looked at it. It moves differently than gold. Gold is weird because it's got two facets to it. Okay, it's got an industrial side and it's got an investor side. No other real product has that. Maybe silver a little bit, but really gold is such a unique thing because there's so many people just buy it and hold it, and they're investors in gold. And then there's so many people that use it. Jewelers, it's in computer parts, it's in Lexuses or something like that. So there's all sorts of industrial uses. So it has this forward skew of oil, and it has this investment skew of the S&P 500. Oil has this weird thing where when oil starts to rally, that is when its vol really, really climbs. It's scary how expensive oil can run up when oil vol can run up when oil's on the move. Although there is a little bit of risk tail to it on the downside, not nearly the same as something like gold. The oil volatility structure looks almost like if you took the S&P 500 and flipped it, that would be the way oil volatility is structured in a lot of ways. So, I'm actually surprised that oil VIX product is not trading, and that would be another one that would be interesting. You'd think people would want to get involved in that, but I'm just not sure people trading commodity futures are gonna want to get into the Rubicon that is forward volatility swaps. So
the Rubicon, I like that.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's not only a James Bond film; it's also a volatility thing. So,
Well, very good. Is there anything else we need to be looking at over at OX, Mr. Navabi?
At OX, well, I mean, we have our webinars. They're very good. They're on our site if you want to take a look at them. You can bring your mouse over, I think it is the Educate, and then you have the events, and you can see some that are on 411 and 412. We have some 413, 414, including one on 413, implied volatility spread and trading presentation with Russell Rhodes. So.
Oh, I like him. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he does a very good job. All right. Mr. Mark.
He's got a great name, too. Russell Rhodes sounds like he could be one of Dusty Rhodes' kids and like a professional wrestler, don't you think?
Oh, don't get me wound up on the American
Rhodes, Dream. Take me home to the place I belong.
All right. Well, first off, if you're going to mock the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, by bringing John Denver in it, I don't know if I can allow you to be on the rest of my show.
I apologize.
Yes.
I apologize.
Anyway, what's the greasy meatball sandwich looking out for these next few days?
I'm watching that VIX. It got and vol real low, real cheap, and I think we did hit some sort of bottom last week, and we could see a little bit of a temporary turnaround. I don't think we're going to have any huge sell-off, but I think realized volatility has to go up, and I think implied volatility has to go up, both, either up or down, but because the market literally did nothing last week, so it's really that's kind of my thoughts.
Sounds good. And what's going on in the option pit these days? Any offers or anything that our listeners can look for?
You know what? I've got a free webinar on Wednesday. You can go to optionpit.com/events and sign up. I think you probably heard the commercial during this. And if you sign up for 6 months of our L1, you don't even you just have to promise. All right, if you promise to pay for 6 months of our L1 large group mentoring, I'll send you my Future Professionals Prep course for free. That's a $500 value. So it's a pretty good deal. So those are my two big deals right now.
Sounds great. Well, gentlemen, as always, it was a pleasure being with you today. Over at Know Your Options, folks, if you're interested in seeing what's going on with anything over there, feel free to stop on by at knowyouroptionsinc.com. Mark, it was good working with you today, as well as you, Tim. And until next time, folks, let's have a successful trading day. So long, everybody.
Become a part of the Option Block. Just visit www.theoptionsinsider.com/forum to post a question for the hosts. You can also submit questions to twitter.com/optionblock or leave a voicemail at 312-544-9356. Make it interesting and your question just might make it on the air. The Options Block is property of the Options Insider Incorporated. All rights reserved. preceding program was a presentation of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com/radio or search for Options Insider Radio in iTunes.